Oh, my bad. Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you for letting me know the volume was off. All right. I was on the wrong scene. All right. But thank you so much. Anyway, so my name is Octavius Prime. So if you guys wanted to subscribe to the channel for more of this type of action. So what I did was I went on Twitter and I gathered some of the files that have been dumped on Twitter, the Epstein files. As you can see, these are clearly underage girls, you know, right there on your screen, you know, believe your lying eyes. And also, we do have some of the, we'll get into some of the other files as you can see later on. But I want to start off with Representative Lou. Okay. Let me see something. All right, we're going to start off with Representative Lou. We're going to get him to talk about the accusations that he witnessed as a lawyer, I think. But as a politician, he's making serious allegations due to some of the things that are in the Epstein files. And then I get into my video essay, and then I get into some of the files and videos. And we'll show you videos of Epstein playing with children and others, you know, other things. And we'll also get into Bill Gates, because Bill Gates is trending right now, and some of the stuff that he got going on, some of the early interviews that are going on in the news. All right, so in the meantime, I'll play this.
So why are Republicans so interested in Bill and Hillary Clinton? It's because they're trying to distract from the fact that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files thousands and thousands of times. In those files, there's highly disturbing allegations of Donald Trump raping children, of Donald Trump threatening to kill children. So I encourage your press to go look at these allegations, and I'm highly disturbed that Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche just got the law wrong. Yesterday, he said, essentially, that it is not a crime to party with Jeffrey Epstein. Well, that's actually not correct. If Jeffrey Epstein was human trafficking minors for these sex parties, and you show up and patronize the establishment at that party, yes, you're guilty, because patronizing is part of the law, the federal sex trafficking law. So Deputy General Todd Blanche just got that wrong, which maybe explains why they aren't investigating all these folks, including Donald Trump. He needs to read the law and investigate these people. He also needs to resign, not only for not knowing the law, but a massive, not only screw up, but the biggest privacy violation in history. They release a lot of pictures of minors, unredacted, just violated the privacy of these girls. It is uncalled for what they did. The one thing that they could not do under this law was to invade the privacy of these women now, who were girls at the time, who were victims of sex trafficking.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna go. I got the video essay. I'm gonna play for a few minutes, and I'm gonna let you guys listen to that so that we can get all the facts. This protects me, so it's not me being lazy or whatever, but it's me. I actually prepared this for you guys, so I'm gonna let you guys listen to the video essay, let's get that started.
When the U.S. Department of Justice released about 3.5 million pages of previously sealed material relating to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein at the end of January 2026, the broader American public was confronted with a document trove whose sheer size rivaled the Pentagon Papers, and whose implications may reshape aspects of political discourse for years to come. The release, mandated by the 2025 Epstein Files Transparency Act and featuring tens of thousands of emails, images, and videos, was simultaneously hailed as a victory for openness and condemned as an exercise in bureaucratic stonewalling. What emerged was not a neat unraveling of secrets, but an entangled mesh of old friendships, social interactions, political flashpoints, historical associations, and above all, unanswered questions about power and accountability. At the heart of this moment is the paradox of visibility. Millions of pages were made public, but what the documents reveal is often less important than what remains obscured. Photos of dignitaries and celebrities, emails from decades ago, and investigative records with page after page blacked out testify both to the enormity of Epstein's reach and to the constraints of the legal system to wrestle that reach into public view. Journalist accounts of the release emphasize that at least 550 pages were entirely redacted and that many more contain significant redactions. Decisions the DOJ defended as required to protect victims and ongoing investigations. Understandably, in the swirl of national attention,
No, nothing's AR.
names quickly dominated
Nothing's
headlines.
AI, baby.
Among these, Donald J. Trump loomed particularly large, not because the files offered new proof of criminal wrongdoing, but because of the political heat they generated. In the early batches
This
of
is
materials
from
released,
the
images and documents, including Trump, are
DOJ.
conspicuously sparse, yet the discussion around them remains outsized.
That's Bill Clinton.
According to reporting by CBS News, the
That's
recently
Bill
released
Gates.
files show Trump's books on a shelf.
That's just
in
a
one
picture of
image, but
Hillary
otherwise
and
do
Bill.
not feature him extensively. Trump's relationship with Epstein, which was once described by both men as friendly in the 1990s before becoming distant, has long been a point of media focus. But the documents released so far do not contain evidence of criminal conduct by Trump in connection with Epstein's trafficking crimes. That said, the files do include some mentions of Trump dating back decades, and they have reignited debate over the nature of his association with Epstein. Analysis from PolitiFact notes that a 2017 email from Epstein referenced names including Trump, but there is no corroborated proof that Trump met with Epstein on a specific Thanksgiving that year, as some social media speculation suggested. Moreover, flight records and social connections from the 1990s, long reported in prior releases and independent journalism, show Trump and Epstein moved in overlapping social circles before their relationship reportedly cooled.
Please hit the like button,
Politically,
everyone.
the Trump administration has sought to frame the issue in ways that deflect accusations and sharpen partisan divides. President Trump publicly described the Epstein Files as a distraction from Republican legislative priorities and criticized Democrats for focusing on the release. He also claimed that many people in the released photographs may have met Epstein innocently many years ago, including respected bankers and lawyers. Political statements like these underscore his effort to contextualize the material as a broader social phenomenon rather than evidence of focused wrongdoing. Yet some Democrats in Congress remain deeply critical of how the files have been released. Specifically, how much of the material appears redacted or withheld. House Oversight Committee members, including Rep. Robert Garcia, have argued that the Department of Justice has not fully complied with the transparency law and continues to suppress material that could shed light on still hidden questions. The political tug of war over the files reflects broader cultural tensions, the demand for accountability and absolute transparency colliding with the legal imperatives of victim protection and evidentiary limitation. Echoing the national debate over Trump's potential connections to Epstein's world, the media spotlight has also turned to other global figures whose names have surfaced in the documents or in reporting about them. One of the most sensational developments has been the appearance of entertainers such as Sean, Jay-Z, Carter and Pusha T in the files, not as defendants in a criminal case, but as individuals named in unverified calls to the FBI tip line that were included among the released materials. News outlets, including the International Business Times, made it clear that their names being present in some of these records does not demonstrate involvement in Epstein's crimes, nor do they appear in Epstein's flight logs or personal contact files. The inclusion of Jay-Z and others in the media conversation is illustrative of the broader misinformation hazard surrounding the files. Unverified claims, often based on anonymous hotline tips or redacted snippets without context, can circulate widely in the digital age, even when the underlying evidence is sparse or legally inconclusive. Major newsrooms have dealt carefully with this material, emphasizing again and again that a name in a document is not proof of criminal behavior. These caveats are essential to responsible reporting, especially when public figures argue that their reputations are being unfairly implicated in wrongdoing they never committed. Perhaps no name has generated as much renewed scrutiny as Bill Gates, whose interactions with Epstein have long been a subject of media investigation. As the latest DOJ files were released, some documents contained draft emails or references written by Epstein suggesting things about Gates that were unsubstantiated and sensational. According to reporting by Forbes and ABC News, these included allegations that Gates had certain personal problems or behaviors that were not corroborated by independent evidence, and that Gates' spokesperson denounced as absolutely absurd and completely false. Gates himself publicly acknowledged that spending time with Epstein was a mistake, but has consistently denied any involvement in wrongdoing and said that his interactions with Epstein were confined to discussions about philanthropy, not social entanglements or participation in illicit conduct. Gates' statements have been echoed by representatives from the Gates Foundation, who argue that the documents reflect Epstein's frustration that Gates did not maintain a relationship rather than any genuine collaboration or misconduct. Melinda French Gates, in interviews reported by ABC and
All right, these are some of the photos that have been dumped online concerning Donald Trump, Epstein, some general photos of Bill Clinton.
Public figures are connected, even indirectly, to highly charged scandals. Embedded in these narratives about Trump and Gates are still larger questions about how elite networks form and function. Jeffrey Epstein, before his 2019 arrest and subsequent death, cultivated a web of social connections that included politicians, business magnates, celebrities, academics, and cultural leaders. Early releases of Epstein's Black Book and flight logs, made public in prior years, documented hundreds of connections spanning diverse fields, illustrating how Epstein's wealth and social capital afforded him entry into circles that might otherwise have been closed. The lessons of this sprawling disclosure effort extend beyond the personalities at the center. They highlight the challenges of transparency legislation, the complexity of historical record-keeping, and the ways in which the public interprets partial evidence. Advocates for victims have expressed frustration that so much of the material that could illuminate systemic failures, law enforcement missteps, or protective interventions remains redacted. Survivors' groups have called the releases a beginning rather than a conclusion, a step toward accountability, but not the final chapter. Another element that has entered public debate, not strictly part of the Epstein Files, but related in texture to conversations about transparency and elite networks, is what some commentators have referred to as the Twitter Files. Although the Twitter Files are a separate body of investigative reporting focused on how social media content moderation decisions were made in various political contexts, their overlap with the Epstein discourse lies in the broader skepticism about institutional decision-making and information control. Like the Epstein documents, the Twitter Files have prompted debate over media transparency, bias, and political influence, and both have become flashpoints in polarization over how public figures are portrayed, defended, or criticized in the press. The current news cycle reveals how quickly these distinct strands can become entwined in public perception, even when they arise from different factual bases. In the midst of all this, Bill Clinton remains one of the most visually prominent figures in the released material, not because he is accused of criminal conduct by federal prosecutors, but because archival photographs in the files show him in social settings with Epstein in earlier years. Multiple news outlets have reported that these images, often heavily redacted to protect victim identities, depict Clinton in relatively benign contexts such as social events or small gatherings. But their publication has reignited historical questions about Clinton's past associations with Epstein and raised new calls from some political commentators for fuller disclosure. As with every other example, the mere presence of a public figure in an image does not constitute proof of criminal involvement.
All right, so we heard enough of that. All right. So these are a lot of the files and images that were put out on Twitter. These are some of the images that were put out on Twitter. But I want to get into the character of Jeffrey Epstein. All right, so this is him. So one of the things that Epstein files have revealed is that he didn't like black girls. He said he didn't want any N-words. Okay, so this is just a video pointing out the racism even at that level. But I'm glad that it was racism. I live here in West Palm Beach myself. I live like 4 miles away from Mar-a-Lago. Literally, I could walk there. I've been there. I got videos of Mar-a-Lago, at least 3 of them, on my page right here with shorts. So, but anyway, Epstein was a racist. in the Epstein files, as you see. So we're gonna show and prove that. So we're gonna react to this real quick. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and play this. So
Out on Epstein Island. Here's why. Jeff gave in at some point and told him, yes, I'll find some friends. Jeff wanted young, fresh girls, virgins. He told, don't bring me any N-words. Never ever brought any friends. At this point in the interview, attorney Barry advised the following. At Epstein's request, she at times met people on the beach and may have told them something to the effect of, if you want to party, go to Epstein's. Following statement. Shook her shoulders and head in the affirmative. Clarified that after what Jeff had done to her, she did not want it, the grapes and actual assaults, to be repeated. And she decided finding other girls for him, strangers she found in town, might spare her.
Okay, so you see that. And we got another. So we're going to go into some of the videos so we can see him in his raw form with the little girls. This has been confirmed. These are underage girls, so they all blotted out, running around, chasing around little girls. All right. This is Epstein. So I guess they're blurting out the names and everything like that. And as you see, for some of the photos I couldn't even get from the Epstein files, it was some really, really grotesque photos that are on Twitter that are pornographic, that are on Twitter involving young adults and maybe even underage girls that are on Twitter that the DOJ has released. I mean, it's one photo that you have seen in the slideshow where he's like laying on a girl's butt or whatever. But even that one girl that you see in a green dress that he's holding up. So what I did was, in order to make it suitable for YouTube, she was gagged and bound. That same girl, same face, looked like she was gagged and bound, hands tied behind her back with the same dress on. So, I mean, who knows what these kids went, I don't know. But as you see, a lot of this is going on now. Like I said, I used to work over in Palm Beach doing the gas lines when they was putting the power lines underground. And I saw suspicious stuff back in 2020. Now, this is after Epstein. But I saw a young girl that looked like she was probably at least 13 years old wearing a two-piece bathing suit that a 25-year-old Instagram model would be ashamed to wear. And I swear to God on that. And it was a bunch of little girls coming around the corner as I was working. They were coming from the beach on North Ocean Avenue. I saw some of this strange stuff myself, okay, over there on the island. Because I worked from the north part of the island to the south part of the island. I've been to Mar-a-Lago doing the gas lines there. So I got to see some things. I got to see pretty much some back roads and things like that when it comes to Palm Beach. So this right here, I was just like, whoa, like, wow, because I'm black, and I mean, just me being black, I'm just saying maybe this is how they just don't care. Maybe they're not really sexual like that, because I'm saying I wouldn't want my 13-year-old daughter walking out in no two-piece bathing suit, and it was like wide open. This was not like a short woman. No, this was a kid. All right, so as you see, these kids are running around in this man's mansion. He's acting like a big old kid himself, chasing other people's children. All right. All right, so let's get into Bill Gates real quick. Before that, I'm gonna go ahead and go into Lizzo. All right, so Lizzo did respond about Jay-Z's involvement with these activities, and I have my own thoughts on it as well. But before we get into that, we're gonna react to it. Before we get into that, Jay-Z, aka Sean Carter, what's actually true? Jay-Z has not been accused, charged, or sued in connection with Jeffrey Epstein. Jay-Z does not appear on Epstein's flight logs, Epstein's contact black book, Epstein Island visitor list. There is no photographic evidence of Jay-Z with Epstein. There are no verified emails between Jay-Z and Epstein in the DOJ release materials. Jay-Z's names appeared unverified FBI tips entries as far as raw data. What Jay-Z is more, somewhat of his association with Epstein, it ties into like other actors and famous people like Sean Puffy Combs. At one point, Foxy Brown, I remember Foxy Brown at one point was accusing him of sleeping with her while they were underage. There's pictures of him and Aaliyah while they were underage hugged up, but that doesn't lead to anything. And the same thing with, he was 27 when he met with Beyonce and she was 16. All right. So critics argue Jay-Z was slow to publicly distance himself from certain public figures. So that's why he's being brought up in the media for scrutiny. All right. So let's go ahead. They say due to FBI wiretaps or whatever. So let's go ahead and play that quick.
Go into glam. This Epstein File shit, I have to, it's really...
How you doing, Erica? How you doing, MJ?
Frustrating to me because there are 3 million files, Max? Right? 3 million documents in the files. Because over the course of however long this man has been doing these crimes, every email, every text message, everything, just in general about this man's life, has been put into these files to scan for illegal activities, right? Every text message you sent to somebody. If you stole an apple from Walmart and you were on trial for stealing an apple from Walmart, is every person in your phone an account?
This is the rapper and singer, mainly singer and pop star Lizzo. Okay, so she's giving her opinion on Jay-Z. So we just reacted to it.
Accomplice? Is every person in your phone, is every email you sent to a person or speaking about a person, does that make that person complicit? Does that make that person a bad guy? No, it doesn't. And that's the same thing with the Diddy stuff. I told y'all, the media is so smart. They're going to make you so distracted with celebrity names that you're not going to focus on the problem. You think every party that Diddy ever threw was a freak off and people were fucking and slipping and sliding on baby oil? No! That man had birthday parties. That man had Easter gatherings. That man had Super Bowl parties. That man had Christmas parties, Halloween parties, regular parties. And so now they're saying Mom Donnie's mom, who's a filmmaker, they're like, oh, she's on the Epstein list because she was on a guest list for Ghislaine Maxwell's like showing of a political film once. Hey, you're distracted. You just want Mom Donnie to be a bad guy or his mom. A girl can go to a movie premiere. You think Ghislaine Maxwell woke up every single day trafficking children? No. We're losing.
So one of my biggest issues with the traffic, like who else was arrested? Because you can look at some of these videos and photos that are on Twitter and you'll see there's grown men and women just standing around while Epstein got a little girl sitting on his lap. Like it's creepy. And there are multiple photos of him. Like I said, I didn't feel comfortable putting a lot of this stuff on YouTube due to the sensitive nature of it. Like I said, one of the girls was gagged and bound. And then sometimes you can't even really tell what's the fake from the real because they got like this picture of Barack Obama with this Asian girl. And then next to the photo that's supposed to be the Epstein Files, there's this dead Asian girl gagged and bound, okay, in a trash bag. And so it's a lot of dark stuff that's out there on Twitter tied into this. So it's a lot of stuff, like I say, couldn't put out there. I didn't feel safe. Maybe some of the stuff was AI or whatever. So that's why we're going down the path the way we're going with it. So when it comes down to Jay-Z, he's because he has somewhat of association with Epstein, that people are kind of contorting of what's going on with Jay-Z, because he has been accused by others in the past for, being at certain parties and things like that with Diddy, as Lizzo was mentioning.
The plot. And it's just like the American people in the comments. I knew she was wrong. Jay-Z, I knew he was. What did it say Jay-Z did? He was there in 1996. Come on, people. Like, y'all are falling for it. It's the easiest, oldest trick in the book.
All right, so I'm not even trying to be pro anybody, but Jay-Z is not on the flight logs. He's not in Epstein's contact black book. He's not on the island visitor manifest. There are no photograph evidence of Jay-Z with Epstein, no verified emails. Let's see. Jay-Z names appears in unverified FBI tip line entries that were released as raw data in recent Epstein-related document dumps. So it doesn't even look like he had somewhat of a connection. His name was just in the files. Okay? So that's what we got to understand about the Jay-Z connection. And like I said, it's more of like Sean Puffy Combs, R. Kelly, the people that he had connections with, Sean Puffy Combs for sex trafficking, the Mann Act, same thing with R. Kelly. We already know about him. And so Jay-Z is not implemented in Epstein crimes. His name appears in unverified tips. Critics focus on his social association with other controversial figures, not Epstein himself. So the name Jay-Z that's being circulated in this, from what I'm seeing factually, he has nothing to do with the Epstein case. Okay. But I did the research myself, and I was looking to see if there was a connection, because there's 3 million files. There is pretty much no connection. All right. Other than the DOJ using his name and FBI tips in the file.
Look, and honestly, I'm losing faith in the average intelligence of the American person, because come on, just because somebody's name is mentioned in a 3 million document file of a person's life who's been lived over crimes who've spanned decades, doesn't mean that every single person is an accomplice. He could be mentioned. He referenced Jay-Z once. He was like, oh, we could learn from Jay-Z's business model. Why are y'all? Where's the crime? Focus.
And she's being criticized for this, y'all. So Lizzo is being criticized for pretty much telling the American people the truth about the situation. And I'm not here to just throw Jay-Z under the bus because it's fun. Okay? So I'm going to go to one of Bill Gates' interviews that was done on PBS NewsHour. And we're going to react to that. I think this is one of the earlier ones. And then there's like these 3 Bill Gates videos I'm going to review with you guys. All right.
You had a number of meetings with Jeffrey Epstein, who, when you met him 10 years ago, he was convicted of soliciting prostitution from minors. What did you know about him when you were meeting with him, as you've said yourself, in the hopes?
Now, my thing is, Octavius, you know what I mean? And y'all ain't hit me with no super chats. Y'all ain't hit my like. Y'all ain't even send me nothing, man. All right. Octavius, broke as I am, is not finna be around. Yeah, I'm finna hang out with you, buddy. And you're a whole pedophile. You're a convicted pedophile. And I'm finna hang out with you. I'm going to hang out with you. No, I'm not. You know, you'll bring my social value down if I know that you're a pedo? So that's a very good question that she's asking. So I'm going to rewind it a little bit.
What did you know about him when you were meeting with him, as you've said yourself, in the hopes of raising money?
I had dinners with him. I regret doing that. He had relationships with people he said, would give to global health, which is a interest I have. Not nearly enough philanthropy goes in that direction. Those meetings were a mistake. They didn't result in what he purported, and I cut them off. That goes back a long time ago now. So there's nothing new on that.
It was reported that you continue to meet with him over several years, and that, in other words, a number of meetings. What did you do when you found out about his background?
Well, I've said I regretted having those dinners, and there's absolutely nothing new on that.
Is there a lesson for you, for anyone else looking at this?
Well, he's dead, so in general, you always have to be careful. I'm.
All right, so let's go to the next video.
Knew a lot of very rich people, and he was saying he could get them to give money to global health. In retrospect, that was a dead end, and I was foolish to spend time with him. I was one of many people who regret ever knowing him.
You've no doubt seen the allegations, including some of them from the last 24 to 48 hours. Are they true?
No, apparently Jeffrey wrote an email to himself. That email was never sent. The email is, false. So I don't know what his thinking was there. It just reminds me, every minute I spent with him, I regret and I, apologize that I did that.
The problem is some of the things that he has sent and some of the information.
I'm sorry, but Bill Gates just looked creepy though. He looks like he just looked like, bro, let me check your computer type shit. Like I mean, it's like if he is innocent, he's innocent. You feel me? But at the end of the day, if it was a mistake for him to meet with that guy, it was a grave mistake because he just gives like weird. You know what I mean? And I'm not even trying to like be like some like the hate or whatever, but or just be on some suspicion type stuff just cause or whatever, but he just gives weird,
Information about other people.
I'm gonna wind it back a little bit.
The allegations, including some of them from the last 24 to 48 hours. Are they true?
No, apparently Jeffrey wrote an email to himself. That email was never sent.
Yeah, not bad.
The email is, false. So I don't know what his thinking was there. It just reminds me, every minute I spent with him, I regret and I, apologize that I did that.
The problem is some of the things that he has sent and some of the information about other people that has come up in those files has been true. Why would he do this and say this about you, do you think?
It's factually true that I was only at dinners. I never went to the island. I never met any women. And so, the more that comes out, the more clear it'll be that although the time was a mistake, it had nothing to do with that kind of behavior.
All right. So the thing is, he hooked up with Epstein after Epstein was convicted. All right. So that's why people are like looking at him with the side eye and saying, okay, you looking very weird out here. You're looking very dirty out here, Bill Gates. And for anyone that is connecting with a guy that is a proven pedophile after the fact, it is very weird. Okay. So let me go ahead and move forward.
Connection between Microsoft founder Bill Gates and the late Jeffrey Epstein. In connection with Epstein, an MIT Media Lab outlines numerous meetings between Gates and Epstein, a connection between their foundation and JP Morgan to set up a charitable fund that would financially benefit Epstein.
Flight logs revealed that Gates had flown on Jeffrey Epstein's private jet. An email surfaced showing disgraced MIT Media Lab director Joy Ito he had helped cover up Jeffrey Epstein's identity as an anonymous donor to the lab, informing his staff that a $2 million donation to the lab in 2014 was a gift from Bill Gates, directed by Jeffrey Epstein. Gates tried to downplay the relationship. Didn't know it was Epstein's plane. I didn't have any business relationship or friendship with Epstein. Gates had in fact met with Epstein on multiple occasions, even going so far as to discuss the creation of a multi-billion-dollar charitable fund with seed money from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and JP Morgan Chase. His lifestyle is very different and kind of intriguing, although it would not work for me. Epstein's will even named Boris Nikolic, a Harvard-trained immunologist who served as the chief scientific advisor to both Microsoft and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and who appears in the sole publicly known photo of Epstein and Gates.
Epstein wanted to use the ranch for controlled breeding, using his DNA to improve humanity. Epstein surrounded.
He gonna improve humanity by being a pedophile. I mean, you don't even like women that can give birth. You mean females that can give birth yet? Okay. These people these people are weird.
Gates Foundation, and who appears in the sole publicly known photo of Epstein and Gates.
Epstein wanted to use the ranch for controlled breeding, using his DNA to improve humanity. Epstein surrounded himself with leading scientists and would tell them he wanted to have 20 women impregnated at a time on the ranch.
Hoped to seed the human race with his DNA, put a modern gloss on a very old idea. Mr. Epstein's vision reflected his long-standing fascination with what has become known as transhumanism, the science of improving the human population through technology like genetic engineering and artificial intelligence. Critics have likened transhumanism to a modern-day version of eugenics, the discredited field of improving the human race through controlled breeding. Epstein's interest in genetics led him to sponsor a number of scientists working in the field, including.
And that interview that I did the interview that I had showed last night on my channel, we reacted to that last night. In that interview, he was struggling to sound like a scientist. Like he was trying to sound like Neil deGrasse Tyson or something like that about life and the soul and energy cannot be created or destroyed, and talk about mathematics and things like that. So, he believed because he was a billionaire, and the thing about it is they live like how they want to live. You know, as you can see, they was over there just sitting up with kids on your lap. You know, this is a life sentence here in Florida. You know what I'm saying? To be dealing with underage kids and touching them sexually. That's a life sentence. You do life in jail pretty much. Or you're going to be doing 25 years to life and then you're going to be on probation the rest of your life. And you can't be in your home near a church or near a school or near any type of public whatever where kids are, or a park. And your time is, after you're a convicted pedophile here in Florida, is that you can't be in a home or in the space from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. And so at one point, you would see a lot of homeless people that wasn't homeless staying near the Intercoastal right here on Flagler Avenue. They would stay outside or they'd be parked outside, so the cops had to clean that up. But they were staying over there because a lot of them were sex offenders, right? So we have one of the most strictest sex offender states in the country for anybody that gets involved with sex offending. And he's sitting basically in Florida, going to private islands with little 7-year-old sitting on his lap. All right. So food for thought with that.
George Church, a Harvard geneticist whose lab received funding from Epstein's foundation. Church also acted as scientific advisor to Editas Medicine, a startup seeking to use the genome editing tool CRISPR-Cas9 to eliminate diseases by deleting the parts of a genetic code responsible for the illness. The company announced it had raised $120 million from a group led by Epstein's appointed backup executor, Dr. Boris Nikolic. That group of investors included Bill Gates.
Well, he's dead, so...
He said he's dead. Oh, let me turn this off. So we get somebody got on the subscriber mode. Let me turn it. All right, we're gonna be respectful. All right, so these are some of the photos. Hold up, let me bring it up. These are some of the photos. Well, that's his daughter, as someone mentioned, but this right here, these are some of the photos that have been dropped. That's Prince Albert right there, standing over what looked to be a young woman, and that is one of the sex traffickers, the female there. All right. So we're looking at some of that. So let's look at some of the people that's been implemented. So now, Bill and Hillary Clinton has stated that they will be attending the hearing on, I think it is on the 26th of February, to talk about their knowledge of Epstein. And Donald Trump has been challenging the Clintons to come forward with the information they know. So they want to do it in public at that. So that's pretty good. So, but I'm going to read off some of the things, some of the people. For example, let's talk about the Bill Clinton situation. Bill Clinton flew to Jeffrey Epstein's private jet multiple times in the early 2000s. This is documented in flight logs. Clinton appeared in photographs with Epstein at public and private events. Clinton had a social relationship with Epstein, meaning they were more friends. Clinton's office acknowledged the flights years ago. What has Clinton constantly stated? Clinton never visited Epstein Island, so he said he never been to the island. He had no knowledge of Epstein crimes at the time. He cut off contact with Epstein before 2008 conviction. So in that video that was released with Steve Bannon, he was talking about his time at the West Palm Beach County Jail right there on Gun Club near Military Trail here in West Palm Beach, where I live. And he talked about wearing a brown suit, and he was a teacher helping. Epstein was a teacher at the Palm Beach County Jail, helping people with some of the men there to get their GED while they were locked up. All right. No DOJ documents accuse Clinton of sexual abuse. No criminal charges have been brought against Clinton related to Epstein. Some images in recent release show Clinton aboard Epstein's jet, but faces of others are redacted. So that one photo that's in this that's in the slideshow, you'll see Bill Clinton sitting in a hot tub, and there's a young woman in the hot tub with him. We don't know what the age, we don't know who that is. We don't know. It's blacked out, so we can't guess. All right. No criminal acts were depicted from what they are saying as far as the Epstein files. Okay. While Clinton remains controversial, Epstein himself once claimed Clinton never visited the island. This statement exists in Epstein's emails. Okay. Critics argue Clinton's presence provided Epstein with social legitimacy. Survivors stated that Epstein used powerful associates to create trust and access through not naming Clinton as an abuser. Though not naming Clinton as an abuser, I'm sorry. Bottom line, Clinton association with Epstein is real, documented, and socially intimate, meaning they were like friends to a certain extent. There's no proven criminal conduct tied to him in the Epstein files. All right. So there's nothing there for as far as Bill Clinton. So we're going to go and talk about Bill and Melinda Gates. As far as Bill and Melinda Gates, the most documented paper trail. Okay. Bill Gates met with Jeffrey Epstein multiple times between 2011, 2014. This is after the 2008 conviction, where he was already named to be a pedophile. Right. These meetings concurred after Epstein's 2008 conviction for being a pedophile. Gates has publicly admitted that meeting Epstein was a mistake. Like I said, I wouldn't, or you wouldn't, I hope you guys wouldn't, want to be friends with a person that is a convicted pedophile in the state of Florida, of all places. All right. Emails released in court filings reported confirmed Epstein attempted to leverage Gates with wealth and influence. And Bill Gates talk about funding. I think it even goes up to about $2 million were donated, if I can remember, okay? Epstein aggregated his closeness with Gates in communication with others. What the email shows, Epstein sought funding connections through Gates. Epstein referred to Gates in messages in a way to boost his own credibility, meaning using Bill Gates for clout, like a lot of YouTubers do. Using somebody's name for clout, like Bill Gates, big up. Okay. Some emails drafted by Epstein contain unverified false claims about Gates' personal life. All right. So that's something that I can research on that more, if we go further into it. But it looks like they're more targeting Gates right now. More the main target, the person that's in question more than anybody due to the release of this is Bill Gates, right? What Gates denies and no evidence contradicts. Gates denies participating in witnessing abuse. Gates denies traveling to Epstein Island. Gates denies financial involvement with Epstein. Gates denies having any influence over Gates Foundation decisions. Okay. Melinda French Gates confirmed statements. She will publicly express anger and regret over Bill Gates' meeting with Epstein. Now, Alex Jones is on social media right now. Alex Jones he's on Twitter right now. And as a matter of fact, I'll pull it up. Let me pull it up the video. I'll pull up the video of Alex Jones. We'll react to it. This is a conspiracy theory, in my opinion. Okay, this is conspiracy theory, in my opinion. So we'll just listen to it for entertainment value alone. Okay. So I'm going to pull it up. Alex Jones, Epstein. So let me look it up. So Alex Jones is basically trying to find the right file.
About rape and torture and murder exist inside of these documents, some of the most powerful people on earth. And you're really left to wonder, like, what really did happen.
All right, so let's go through it.
And it's a... All
right, so let's bring it up. So this is what the far right is saying. All right.
Wild time to be alive is all I got to say. And I'm glad to see Trump now getting it, because some of his advisors said, sir, there's a lot of lies about you, so maybe we should. He's like, okay. And now Trump's like, wait, this is great. Exactly. He should lean into this, and he should just absolutely demand even more be released. And he should be doing press conferences right now saying, look, I told you it's not me, it's them. They asked for it. Here it is. And so that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you're starting to see that from the president. Not only victory laps, but also lawsuits. He's planning on suing Trevor Noah, Michael Wolff, maybe others who lied about him inside of the Epstein files.
Years ago with Epstein saying, Epstein's like, no, he never had a massage. He was never around the underage girls.
Right.
And Wolff's like, well, how do we get him? He's like, I don't know. And Epstein's like, there's recordings of it. He's like, that's.
Now, this is their opinion on it, but Donald Trump, as you see Representative Liu, there is some dark allegations against Donald Trump. So I don't want to be like, there's some allegations that's being made by some of the victims that say that he was there and all kind of stuff. There are allegations in the DOJ files that were released. His name was mentioned 38,000 times. So it's some real dark stuff. So the Representative Liu came out and said that he was being accused of rape and murder. Okay. I have nothing to do with that. I'm just witnessing that. I'm not accusing nobody. But we've been playing Alex Jones, which is far right libertarian supposedly, and his opinion on what's going on. So just to add an element for entertainment value, this is not the news. We're just reacting to it. Okay.
That bastard, he's the one that put me in jail the first time. It just, we already knew all this. So I'm like, what are you scared of, Trump? But he had advisors saying, sir, it'll destabilize the economy. It'll hit all the, no. Let justice be done. May the heavens fall. And now that Trump gets that, because he didn't know what was in there. He just knew he was innocent. He knew the media was saying and implicated him. So he was right when he said it's a hoax like Russiagate that I'm involved. Then he clarified, no, Epstein's bad. I'm saying that I'm involved as a hoax. So he now needs to double down, have a press conference like he did. South African president said, we're not killing any whites. Then they showed them saying, kill the whites. The president saying, kill the whites. The next.
All right, skip ahead because you're doing too much.
Yeah, I see it. It's the opposite. There's nothing there. And this is actually the same thing. And they want Trump to say there's something there. But it's the opposite. With the Democrats, it's all there. Trump just needs to lean into this, and it's game over.
So you're saying that President Trump should do a press conference with these photos directly behind him of Bill Clinton.
These are some of the photos that I showed you guys. So that's the not underage, but those are some of the young women that are with Trust. And see, Clinton got the women right there. You feel me? So it's not about Democrat, Republicans. These are all millionaire, billionaire, politician, powerful men. And it is what it is. This is about wealth and heathenism. Okay? Wealth and heathenism. All right? Wealth and access. Being above the law. All right? So, yeah, Clinton looking real relaxed with his head, hands behind his head, with the baddie there. So we looking at it all. They talk about Trump, Bill Gates, all these big names out here, man. It's a lot of dirt. It's dirty out here. It's a dirty game. And I don't know. I'm just leaving it up to professionals. But you see, yeah, there are photos of Clinton being real relaxed and slack. You know what I'm saying? I think he been to, I ain't gonna say that. But anyway.
With, let's just call them young women, because we don't know which women there are, inside of hot tubs, on his lap, arms around him, on a plane. There are no photos that exist of Donald Trump like that. Everyone's screaming about Donald Trump and the Epstein files, and they don't look at the spy who shagged me up here in the top corner with Bill Clinton in this velour, tribal, velvety outfit with the world's foremost pederast, grinning ear to ear, shoving his face full of cake on Jeffrey Epstein's pedo one, and then with photos of him in the hot tub. I mean, this photo in the hot tub is really something. That's like, dude, I don't know Bill Clinton's, I don't know.
Yeah, he looking real relaxed.
Clothes in this, but like that's the victim right there with their face blacked out.
We don't know who that is. All right. So I hate when people do that. That's why I don't listen to these guys. I used to listen to Alex Jones like in the early 2000s. But, that's why they're not considered news and sensational. But they do be finding a lot of angles and things like that. So they're trying to pressure the Clinton thing. That's why Clinton has no problem with Hillary going to Congress during the hearing on the 26th to let everybody know about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein that's coming up. So the far right is believing that, okay, we can push Bill Clinton out, as he did have somewhat of an intimate friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. Okay. My first time meeting Bill Clinton, I met him during I think it was the 2004 governor race. I think that's when first time Jeb Bush got elected. It was I forgot the guy name that was out there, but I met him and Chris Tucker together right there on the inlet on Flagler Avenue at the Dr. Martin Luther King Memorial, right there on Flagler Avenue. So I met him I met Bill Clinton in person. I shook his hand and everything. I got a video of me and him together from way back. It's on VHS, but anyway. So he been in Palm Beach. I've seen him here in Palm Beach, you know?
It would be 9/11. It would be 9/11, Alex, if it was Trump naked in a hot tub with an Epstein victim.
Well, that's right. This is the biggest lost opportunity ever. And so they told Trump, sir, we don't know. Oh, it's recycled lies, which it was. The fake chain does all that. E. Jean Carroll type stuff. Trump needs to absolutely lean into this because this is the reality of what they've done. And it's so crazy that they were that out of their minds to then try to release this. I think the corporate media could spin it against Trump with no evidence, with what is in these files is so damning to them. So this is Trump's to lose at this point.
There's a lot of witness accusations against Donald Trump. Okay. So the congressman wouldn't come out and just say that. There are accusations from witnesses and victims, supposedly from Donald Trump. So that's not totally true what he's saying.
If he leans into it and goes scorched earth with them, it's game over. I mean, you've got Bill Gates' ex-wife, Melinda French, former Gates, saying today, or I guess last night, saying, I think they should all go to prison. This is a game changer. It's a sea change. My husband's a horrible person, which we know he was. I mean, you have John McCain's, wife saying, oh, yeah, we all knew Epstein was bad. You have all these other executives' wives coming out. I mean, the rats are leaving the sinking ship here. We have them. And if Trump will just lean into this, because, again, he's nowhere in it, for God's sakes, then this is just the biggest victory ever.
So you have Melinda Gates. Yeah, I mean, Melinda Gates straight up being like, Bill Gates must answer for what he did, calling him muck in this clip and saying that this is the reason. She's never said this definitively. She said, Jeffrey Epstein and my husband's relationship is why my marriage collapsed. She has gone out and said that
we got to see that. So before I end this live, I definitely got to pull that up if that's true.
She comes out and says, scared. She says on late night TV,
nowhere in it, for God's sakes, then this is just the biggest victory ever.
So you have Melinda Gates. Yeah, I mean, Melinda Gates straight up being like, Bill Gates must answer for what he did, calling him muck in this clip and saying that this is the reason. She's never said this definitively. She said, Jeffrey Epstein and my husband's relationship is why my marriage collapsed. She has gone out and said that she comes out and says, scared. She says on late night TV, and we have this clip as well, that she couldn't be intimate with Bill Gates. And now we learn in Jeffrey Epstein's emails that Bill Gates had STD from Russian hookers, and that might have been the reason. I mean, that's crazy, Alex.
Well, it shows the error.
We got to rewind that. Hold up. Now that's what I want y'all to hear. So they said that what they're saying is that she's accusing him of he had STDs, and I don't want to go into further detail about that. I've heard multiple things about that. They were trying to sneak medicine into her food or whatever, because he may have infected her or whatever. It was really wild. But Bill Gates and Bill Gates is very, very questionable. So I would say the person that they're more targeting right now that has the most salacious accusations on him, but it has not led to any kind of conviction. Now, I don't believe Bill Gates will ever go to jail for this. I'm gonna be honest. But he got his wife out there basically throwing him under the bus, or ex-wife.
We learn in Jeffrey Epstein's emails that Bill Gates had STD from Russian hookers, and that might have been the reason.
And this is what Jeffrey Epstein was saying in the emails.
I mean, that's crazy, Alex.
Well, it shows the arrogance of the Democrats. They knew Trump wasn't involved. And they still, through the DOJ, tried to bluff him and say, it'll hurt America, it'll hurt your friends, all this. And Trump finally, when they tried to set him up, said, fine, release it all. And then now it's all them, and all he's got to do is go.
All right, so they believe in Jesus Christ Trump, okay? That's that Jesus Christ Trump mentality, all right? God save MAGA in the world. Melinda Gates' statement on Epstein.
Well, let me say this.
All right, so we're going to end it with this, with Melinda Gates. All right.
I think we're having a reckoning as a society, right? Let me say this. I think we're having a reckoning as a society, right? No girl should ever be put in the situation that they were put in by Epstein and whatever was going on with all of the various people around him. No girl. I mean, it's beyond heartbreaking, right? I remember being those ages those girls were. I remember my daughters being those ages, right? So for me, it's personally hard whenever those details come up, right? Because brings back memories of some very, very painful times in my marriage, but I have moved on from that. I purposely pushed it away and I moved on. I'm in a really unexpected, beautiful place in my life.
She says she's happy since she's separated from him. All right. And she does somewhat tie. You see what Alex Jones and the other guy was doing. They were like blowing it out of proportion, but you see it's now like it's more grounded when we actually hear what she has to say. All right.
Really unexpected, beautiful place in my life. So whatever questions remain there of what I can't even begin to know all of it, those questions are for those people and for even my ex-husband. They need to answer to those things, not me.
Well,
and I am so happy to be away from all the muck.
Yeah, she called him muck, but that wasn't nothing. All right, so let me go ahead and finish reading this for you guys about the Bill Gates situation. All right, so Melinda Gates has publicly expressed her anger and regret over Bill Gates meeting with Epstein. She has confirmed Epstein made her feel uncomfortable. She has stated that Epstein's presence was one of many factors that contributed to the breakdown of trust in the marriage. Not the sole cause. So what's not true about Bill Gates' involvement? No evidence Gates donated money to Epstein. No evidence Epstein donated money to the Gates Foundation. Well, I thought I read something to the contrary, but anyway, no criminal investigation of Gates exists related to Epstein. Bill Gates' association with Epstein is one of the most documented and admitted among elites, socially and reputationally damaging, but not criminally charged. All right. So if you guys found the video interesting, please hit the subscribe button. Come back. And we'll do it again. So we'll get into some other social media and news related topics. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for my subscribers asking me to do this. I did this on the strength of one of my subscribers getting down in my comments, asking me to react to some of this stuff. And I was very ignorant the last couple of days I just knew the baseline thing about Epstein being a pedophile and being convicted and some of the names tied into it, but I did not know it was that bad. I really didn't know it was this bad. And far as seeing the photos was very haunting and very disgusting. And a lot of this stuff is on Twitter. It'll make you vomit. All right. So, but it just goes to show that there are powerful elites out there that they have the power to get away with some of this stuff. Okay. But anyway, thank you so much for coming through. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button. You know what I'm saying? I greatly appreciate you. For the free 99, you can subscribe. And for the free 99, you can hit the like button. I greatly appreciate y'all. Thanks.